Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Alaikum salam.
Would you like to begin with the question? Please.
Allah says in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 68, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أولم يروا أنا جعلنا حرما آمنا ويتخطف الناس من حولهم أفبالباطل يؤمنون وبنعمة الله يكفرون. So you can give us the meaning of this verse?
You see, the word haram is very significant in the sense that right from the beginning of time, ever since the history of civilization is known, Khana Kaaba and its surrounding have offered special sanctuary to the people who are around. And sometimes, occasionally, some sinful people violated the sanctity of Khana Kaaba, but that was very rare in history. While around Khana Kaaba there was no peace. Arabs continued to fight with each other. Life had no value. Even when offended by some rival tribe on such trivial matters as breaking the egg of a dove or pigeon to whom they had given shelter, imagine that sort of thing. They went into war and human blood had no value whatsoever. It was shed for 100 years continuously between the two warring factors. So this is Arabia, and يُتَخَطَّفُ مِنْ حَوْلِهَا applies to the total insecurity as surrounds the people of Mecca and the territories around Mecca. But Mecca is made a place of peace and security. This is what the Holy Quran is reminding the Arabs, that you knew this sign, this was from God, it was no work of the idols. Yet it's amazing that you never noticed it. It was Allah who protected Khana Kaaba from the invasion of, what was the name? Abraha. And that also happened miraculously. And this is the verse which has a similar verse elsewhere, which speaks of أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. رب هذا
Yes. فاعبدوا رب هذا.
Full surah as it begins.
It's I think it's Al-Quraysh. Yes.
I know, remember it, but the beginning, the verse was Le'ilaf. That is the word which has now clicked it on. Le'ilafi Qurayshin ilafihim rihlat ash-shita'i was-sayf falyabudu rabba hazal bayt allazi atamahum min ju'in wa amanahum min khawf. This speaks of a long history before the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The very survival of Quraysh depended on this aman, which surrounded Khana Kaaba, and also it drew people from far and wide, and the caravans of traders brought all sorts of gifts or commodities in which a man can be interested in his time. The very best things made in the north or in the south, in the east or the west, were brought to Khana Kaaba, or that is to say, the city built around Khana Kaaba. And within it there was absolute security. While elsewhere, as you have already mentioned, the people of Arabia knew no peace whatsoever. So these are the signs of Allah which He has mentioned in the Holy Quran to indicate to God's special favor. This cannot happen accidentally, right? This area of peace was confined only to Mecca and some surrounding territories, which are called Al-Haram. But Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam was raised to broaden the borders of this peace. That is why the religion of his name was Islam. That is why Salam was the symbol of the recognition of a Muslim. So the entire world was to be turned into a sanctuary, where not only sanctuary has the concept of a criminal taking shelter, but a world of peace, of sanctity, where to shed human blood would be, if not altogether obliterated, but to a very large part, to a large degree. Ultimately, such peace would establish over all the world, that a woman, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself had predicted, would walk alone by herself from one city to another without confronting any danger whatsoever. So the Khana Kaaba is not built only for this sanctity of human honor, blood, etc., etc., is mentioned in this verse. From the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallam, the whole world was to be turned, the entire earth was to be turned into Haram. And that is exactly the message contained in the last khutbah of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Read it carefully, and then you have to agree that this is the ultimate design and purpose of Islam. To remove all barriers, to remove all hatred, remove all false prides, and bring mankind to a single entity, whereby the blood, the honor, the property is made haram. This is Arz Haram we're talking about. So when I explain these things, I don't do it by way of attempting to praise the Quran or the message of the Rasulullah sallam. I draw these inspirations from the Quran and from the word of Muhammad Rasulullah sallam. So I don't have to help him by suggesting these wonderful things. I am told of these things by the Quran and by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah himself. So Arz Haram, which is found in the Quran to be mentioned just around a small area of Khana Kaaba, was to be widened to cover the whole world, the entire earth. This is our Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallam.